Hello and welcome, my magical movers. Today we will be doing a workout called Spinelli. Spinelli is a workout that is designed to help us bring more awareness to our spine. Let's hop right into it. So this is a workout for people who have a hard time feeling, engaging, getting a mind-muscle connection to the spine and the muscles around the spine. In these people, we need to upregulate the brain regions responsible for controlling the spine muscles and coordinating movement from the spine. So here's a picture of the spine muscles. People are going to have segments of their spine that they're more stiff. It's very important we build awareness around which areas of our spine are stiffer so we can practice getting more movement from those areas. There's going to be a lot of intention that needs to be brought to this workout and similar workouts, because if we just move without thinking about it, we're going to move from the areas we know how to move from. We are looking for new areas, new sensations of stretch, of activation. And as we bring awareness and intentional activation to the spine muscles in various drills, we will increase our ability to move powerfully from this area in daily life, reducing pain and improving athleticism and posture. After this workout, the work is not over. Intentionally move from the spine in daily life and not from the hips, feet, or ankles or anywhere else. Now, is that saying don't ever move from the hips, feet, or ankles? No, it's saying for the people that struggle to feel the spine, that's because you've gotten in the habit of just moving from something else. So you pay a lot more attention to the legs, the quads, the thighs, the hips, the ankles. It's simply saying for people that don't easily move from the spine or have a great mind-muscle connection, feel and experiment and ask yourself, what is it like to generate movement from this area? If I'm in the kitchen and I'm gonna turn to the counter, if I'm moving from the fridge, I wanna move over to the stove, can I turn with my spine? Can I feel my spine generate that motion? That's what this is saying. One last thing I want to mention before moving into the workout. If you have one side of your spine that gets really tight and the other side of your spine that gets really weak, or it is really weak, really hard to find a connection to, this is what you need to do, and this is what is happening. What's happening is that the side of your spine that you feel all the time is probably on the same side as the arm that you use way too much of, that you use way more, right? If you're a hairstylist and you're always using your right arm for a lot of stuff, or you work in a restaurant, you're cleaning tables, whatever, right arm, right arm, right arm, you'll probably get over time a right side of your spine that gets really tight. Why is that? There's a neurological reason for this. When we move our right arm, the left trunk reflexively stabilizes, and the part of the brain that reflexively stabilizes also manages pain inhibition. So you're not going to have pain on that left side because it's really good at reflexively stabilizing, and you've activated the part of the brain that inhibits pain. However, because you're never using the left arm to do a bunch of complex tasks and strength-related tasks, you're not learning how to leverage the opposite side trunk. Now, it's when you use one arm, you have to use not just the spinal muscles, but the obliques, the side of your core, the side of your body here. And what happens is because you never use that non-dominant arm, the side of your body here never gets worked, so it doesn't stabilize well. So you wind up overtaxing, overutilizing these right erectors here. So in these workouts, if you have one side that does not activate very well and another side that activates too much, use your non-dominant arm, use the arm on the opposite side of the erectors of the side of your back that works too hard. Use the opposite side arm and focus on breathing and trying to bring awareness into this outer part of your side body, because this will help take tension off of the erectors. Let's move into the workout. As usual, we're gonna have some assessment motions we can use to check in periodically and see how our movement is changing as you wake up the spine. So first, kneeling side bending from the thoracic spine. You're gonna get in this kneeling position, and you can do this straight up. Here I am hinging at the hips, I'm bending over at the hips a little bit, and I'm simply leaning side to side, asking myself, can I feel the spine here? Do this for about 20 to 30 seconds. You're just getting a baseline. Next up, same position, but transverse twisting. Now, if you do not have a setup like this, that's an issue. You should, if you're working with me, you should have a band, and you should have a way to set that band up on a door, on a hook. I will give you those things. You just need to ask for them if you don't have them, but you should have them. So same setup, kneeling here, twisting. We're kneeling because it helps take some of the legs out of the equation. It makes us really have to use the hips to some degree for stabilization. The hips create the foundation, but then the spine is what moves. So transverse twisting here, seeing how well we can feel the spine. You're going to do both sides. I recommend about 20 to 30 seconds going each way, paying attention to if one side of the spine activates more than the other, because if you have if the right side spine muscles turn on way more than the left, you need to do a lot more sets and reps for the left side. Then lastly, this is more of a full body balance challenge. We call it RSB stretch, split stance. So you're stepping forwards into a split stance, weight over the front foot, then you're rotating, side bending. That's why it's called the RSB stretch. You're rotating, side bending. So this should give you a nice stretch on the side body here, but it's also going to challenge your balance. And as your mind-muscle connection to the spine improves, you should have better balance. And also, as you improve balance through various drills and exercises, that also helps stimulate brain areas responsible for spine activation. So you're just going to rock with this, going sideways, doing each side. Here's a side view. One thing to notice is that as I step forward, my weight is over this front leg, right? My weight is not split between both legs. I have my weight over the front leg. That forces me to use the entire side body here. Excellent. All right, warm-up drills. Some very common drills, but these can be very helpful, especially if you've been sitting all day, if you're stiff. We're just warming up. So you can see here, ear to shoulder, back and forth. I recommend about 30 seconds for each of these. Next up, turning all the way left, all the way right. Hopefully your neck's not too stiff. If it is, we should address that in session with some massage. Maybe you can roll out, I have the videos on that. All the way left to right, full range of motion, nice little stretch. Up, down, fully up. As you come down, you should get a nice stretch on the back. Here you'll get a nice stretch on the front. About 30 seconds. Putting it all together here, kind of rolling it. Another 30 seconds here. This is challenging for a lot of people, and it's something that is a skill you need to have. This is really important for moving from in the lateral chain. So here I'm shifting the head. Instead of bending or tilting, here we go. I am going left to right. Notice my head is staying straight up and I'm just shifting. That's something you just got to practice. It's going to be challenging, but you can do it. Then this is kind of the same thing. I'm just bringing the head forward, shifting it forward, and then shifting it back. That's helping us get motion from the top two vertebrae in our neck, and it helps create motion and stretch on the suboccipitals, which will get very tight in people that work at the computer. So this could be a challenging motor control drill, but as you get better at it, you'll get a nice stretch in muscles that often are tight, especially if you sit a lot. And then circles, which if you can't do the previous two, don't even try here till you get those previous two. But if you can, then go ahead and put them together and do circles. You can also add in eyes, which I put there in the end, but again, that's getting a little advanced. But I wanted to put all the levels here depending on where you're at. Your neck should feel warmed up after that. If your neck was stiff during any of those, like really stiff, don't push it, don't hurt yourself. Thoracic spine here, that's where we're trying to get a lot of motion from, especially this upper half. People tend to get really stuck in this upper half or the lower half. You need to pay attention, but usually people, especially if they get too much rounding, where they round forward, it's because this area's gotten stiff. And stiff or just very asleep, very dormant. So bring awareness to this area. First up, these are just standing motor control drills. Again, just trying to build awareness, find awareness, and notice if you can feel it. So here, we're rounding this area fully and then straightening it or extending it, curving it back, curving it forward, curving it back, curving it forward. It will help if you can do this in front of a mirror or to the side mirror. Now we're going side to side. We're shifting, not bending. We're shifting our rib cage to the right, to the left. Can we do that? Circles. Putting together the shifting forward and back and the sideways to do circles. Do we have this control? If we don't have this control, or if we're moving too much from some lower area, we need to try and move from the right area. Now, in sessions, hopefully I've shown you which parts of your spine need to get a lot of focus. I recommend about 30 to 60 seconds for each of these. Last but not least, lumbar spine. Now, some people struggle to feel the thoracic spine, the middle to upper back, and they move only from the lower back. Other people struggle to have good coordination from this area. So again, try it out, and if it does not feel good, skip it. But if it feels challenging, definitely spend time here. So here I am moving just from this lower back. You're gonna want to go in both directions, circle in both directions, because if my right side wakes up way more than the left, then I want to focus on going the direction that helps me feel that left side more. Now I will say, if you feel the right side more, adding in some of the weight that we're going to do in future workouts is going to help with this. Now we reassess. Should feel more activation here, hopefully. Should feel more spine control here, hopefully. Should feel more balance here, hopefully. Next up, straight back lean. So this is a hinge, which if you've had even one session with me, you've probably done a few hinges, hinging at the hips, bending over, but you're bending over, pulling back, rotating a little bit, and side bending a little bit. Here you can, you can do this to warm up if this feels pretty good. Depending how stiff you are, you might need to do a couple of these slower, but you can also really pop out of this. So if you want to make this more challenging, get more activation, pop out from the bottom. You go down and pop out really quickly. You can also add some weight to your hands here. 5 pounds, 10 pounds will definitely get more involvement in the shoulders, but also the spine and the hips. If you have one side that does not activate as much, play around with putting a weight in the opposite hand and seeing if that helps get more activation there. Specifically, if you have a hard time, for example, with the left side, you might need to it might help more to put weight in the right hand or left hand depending on your situation. So you can experiment to see which one helps you feel more weight in the non-dominant side. Grass cutters. Start slow. If you go slow, you can have a little more weight. Now you're not trying to muscle the weight fully. This is not a deltoid raise, okay? You are using momentum. If you go slower, you can maybe use a little more weight. You can also try going really fast and use slightly less weight. This is more advanced, so I would not do this until you've gotten really good at this. However, this is a great opportunity to once again put weight in your non-dominant side, which for most people obviously is the left side, and to spend way more sets and reps on that left side, really breathing into this right side or the opposite side trunk so that you can get better muscle control of stabilizing the side you're not used to stabilizing and moving from the arm you're not used to moving. This is a fun one, by the way. And there's a lot of ways we add variety to this later on. Last up is sidestepping, leaning over full moons. So here, you can do this exact motion, and that's great, and that's going to get some side bending going. It's going to get some spinal activation going. Hopefully, you can close your eyes and get a good more activation to your balance system. You can also, instead of bringing both arms up to touch each other, just look at my left arm for a second. Imagine my right arm stayed. Basically, you can keep the right arm more by your side and just move this left arm with some weight in it, and that will once again help train that non-dominant arm and that non-dominant side of your trunk. All right, so here we're doing some sidestepping, leaning with full moons. Full moons is referencing the arm motion I'm doing here. Couple options here. You can just do what I'm doing. You can do it faster, which will increase the intensity and potentially the brain activation. You could put a weight in your non-dominant arm to help train that non-dominant arm-trunk relationship. You could close your eyes to challenge the balance. And that's what you're going to get out of this. I recommend about 30 to 60 seconds, 1 to 2 sets, and time to reassess. By now we should have a little more stability here, a little more balance. Should have a lot more spine activation here, and hopefully some better balance in these. Last set of drills, bird dogs. Hands and knees, pull one arm back, the opposite leg back. Now we're just balancing. This is going to be more for the front of the body. The spine is not going to get as involved here, but by kicking this glute back, pulling the opposite arm back, there is going to be some bleed into the brain regions that work with the spine. Just try and hold it and balance. Depending on your level, you can make this harder, but for most people, you're just going to want to try balancing here. If it bothers this shoulder, then or one shoulder, skip it. We don't want it to be going into the neck or upper shoulders here. Next up, standing in a hinge position. This is similar to the grass cutters from the previous drill set. Now we're just in this hinge position. If it's going to your lower back here, stand straight up. If it feels uncomfortable, stand straight up. But you should be able to leverage the breath to pressurize to stabilize the back here. Once again, feel free to spend more sets and reps on your weaker arm. Great. Next up, walking. So this is another bit of a balance drill / dynamic. You're stepping forward. As you step one leg forward, you lean to that side. and you're purposefully bending a lot side to side, trying to drive the motion with bending to the side. Now, I'm showing going forward and back, but if that's challenging stepping back, just focus more on the stepping forward version. You can also add a weight to your non-dominant arm. That's gonna feel really good here. If you do that, you're gonna wanna probably take pauses at each step. So I'd pause there to breathe into that non-dominant trunk side that you're not used to. Excellent. This could be a fun one. Feel free to take time there. Make sure your head also tilts equally side to side. Going to run through the same reassessments after that, and you should feel a lot more balance, a lot more spinal activation, and I hope that works well for you. If you have any questions, write them down, ask them to me in your next session. All right, see ya, bye.